What's up, everybody? Justin here with Aces Conference, the podcast. As always, I am here with my good friend, T-Dog, Tim Pearson. What's up, Tim?
Hey, Justin. How you doing?
I'm good up until about 45 minutes ago when my entire desk got covered in water.
You're gonna drop that in again, and like that could be the drop at the end of this or something, right?
No. That file is long deleted. My idiocy only can stretch so far. So I want to talk to you real quick. Have you been buying any new equipment recently? Because I heard a rumor that Apple's going to release a new iMac, and they released the new MacBook Airs like 2 weeks after stay-at-home orders for Rutabaga, and now I can't get MacBook Airs. And now they're going to release like another new machine. Now, like, are you buying a lot of new hardware for your clients?
No. Although I did have one last night say, "Hey, we need to buy. We have a person starting in a new role on Monday. We need a new iMac for them."
Right.
And today's Friday, and I told them too bad. And then they also said that they were like, well, and also while we're doing this, we've got two other new machines, and actually we should probably just replace all of our machines, and we had budget for the server, so let's do that too. Let's talk about that and get that all taken care of before July. It was really weird.
Are you gonna do it?
I mean, I've got to talk to them about it.
Right.
I see no reason why we couldn't do it if we, do it smartly and sanely and
Safely.
We are, like, technically we're essential workers, so we could go to their offices, but we would want to just make sure nobody else was there. Devices would be enrolled in Business Manager, all that stuff. But they're not set up in Business Manager. They don't have Apple custom stores, so we've got work to do.
Do they need an actual file? Do they need an actual file share, or can we do like Ignite and do file share in the cloud or something?
They need an actual file share, and they're one of those groups that has like. Well, this is an interesting. So they're a group that has some interesting security ramifications, and their IT department isn't super smart, and so they sent everybody home. They told all their designers send everybody home, and then they only gave 2 of their people VPN access of a 6-person team, and so what has been happening is the 2 people log into the VPN, download the files they need, and then email them to their counterparts.
Smart. Not smart.
Here, it's been an interesting. I've burned a lot of time with this group in the last month talking about the right ways to do things, and
anyway. Making money off of it.
No.
Well, let's talk about ways to make money. I don't know why I get echo from you. Let's talk about ways to make money. Aces Conference 2020, the prequel, happening May 19th and 20th online for small business owners and IT professionals. Learn different ways to make money. And we have a guest today who's going to help us make some money as well.
Thank God.
Why?
Who's
so
our guest?
To talk?
Yeah. Who's our guest? Let's move on.
Let's move on to the next segment of our show. Our guest is Natasha Boyko from ID Agent. What's up? Oh, I gotta make her live. Hold on. There we go. Sorry. Try that again. What's up? There we go.
Hey guys. Super happy to be here today.
Super professional here at Aces Conference, the podcast. Oh my God.
Keep it relaxed.
Is Mercury in retrograde or something like that? Like, what's happening to me today, man?
I think that already happened. I think you're just crazy.
It's possible.
I don't think you can blame it on Mercury being in retrograde.
I like this. Natasha and I are going to be good friends.
You know where you and Natasha met, Tim? You've met.
At the Aces Conference?
Aces Conference 2019, that's right.
There you go.
That was fun, very fun and sweaty, that conference.
Oh, I don't want to hear about that.
It was sweaty.
It was awesome. That was when we
I love how people got mad at me as if I am the air conditioning guy.
No, seriously though, when we did our year-end wrap up and the question was what were your top 5 favorite shows of the year, that was easily in my top 5. It was such a good couple days. Yeah, we loved it.
Yay!
Well, we're not doing it again, so dang, rutabaga. No, but you will be a part of our virtual show, and I'll give a little props. I was calling this before we decided to do the virtual show. I was calling our sponsors just to see what their feeling was on whether or not we should do something in May or should we just postpone to October and call it a day. And I had a nice conversation with you while picking up my kids about how your business works and things like that. And it wasn't that I built the show around your particular needs, but if you really want to take it that way, you can. But it was a couple of things that you had said that, like, you know, all the shows are going virtual and, you know, it's hard to do lead generation when you have certain types of shows. And so one of the things that we really look for when we were figuring out the ACES Conference 2020, the prequel, is the platform that we're going to use. And so Tim and I did some work, and I got my wife Michelle involved, and we finally found a platform that we can use that will accomplish this for sponsors. So if you are sponsoring ACES Conference 2020, the prequel, or want to sponsor ACES Conference 2020, the prequel, happening May 19th and 20th, I'll see how many times I can get in. We have a great platform for it to happen. That being said, people who weren't at ACES Conference 2019 probably don't know you, Natasha. So why don't you tell everybody about yourself and maybe something that most people don't know.
Awesome. So I have a really good story for that. But just to start, Natasha, Director of Channel Development with ID Agent. So if you're not familiar with ID Agent, I'm not going to go into a sales pitch, but we are, primarily offering dark web monitoring, security training, lots of different solutions you can offer to your end customers to keep them safe and secure. I'm based out of the Washington, D.C. area, so I'm here on the East Coast. And a story that I guarantee no one on this call knows about me. So in a prior life, I was living in Boston and I was working for a catering company because I thought that my life's goal was to just plan weddings and events. So I was catering an event at the Harvard Club, which is this big club in the city. It's awesome. And I served Tommy Lee Jones at this event. And I hope he's not listening to this, but he was super creepy and hit on me and it got real weird. And I just remember leaving that event and I had a huge tip. So I was happy, but I was like, damn, I'm going to tell that Tommy Lee Jones story all the time now. So that was my brush with fame, was Tommy Lee Jones propositioning me at a catering event.
Her Tommy Lee Jones story is like how I tell the Paul Rudd story literally on every episode of this podcast. It's so funny. That's awesome.
I wish I could do the accent. Wait, is it the Hobbit Club?
No, don't do it, dude. Don't do like that.
Don't try.
In Seattle, we can't do any of that stuff. We can't do it.
It's Park the car in the Harvard Yard. That's how you do it. Yeah. I went to school in New England, and a lot of people in Rhode Island have the Boston accent. So tell people a little bit about what ID Agent is, and especially now in a rutabaga world.
Yes.
What is it doing for people and why they need it even more?
Yeah, so our platform, so we kind of launched in the channel in May of 2017. So it's been, almost 3 years now. Primarily what we're doing is monitoring the dark web credential exposure. So emails and passwords associated with an MSP's client's domain. So, you've got Nancy in HR that's into all sorts of websites, work-related, non-work-related, and she's using address and the same password. Oh, I'm getting a bad echo there. And using the same password across the board. So when those exposures happen, they go up for sale, for auction, whatever on the dark web. So our platform captures that exposure. And then we've also got security awareness training, simulation, and then we just launched. Still getting that echo. And then just this week we've launched Pathway, which is our third solution, which is a full identity access management platform. So single sign-on, multi-factor authentication, password manager. So, thinking about our life in this new world, the three of those solutions work really well to, one, add recurring revenue. So, we're always looking for ways to add additional streams of revenue. But then also, it really helps MSPs have visibility into employee behavior. And that's what I love most about this platform, in that, it isn't just this super technical cybersecurity solution that you need to, kind of really sell to people. What you're selling is like visibility, and you're giving the business owner access to be able to understand where there's gaps in training, where there's gaps in process, like onboarding, offboarding processes, things like that. And you're able to say, look, you, especially now, you don't know what your employees are doing all day. They're not sitting in your office. They're not necessarily connected, right there in front of you. So how can you understand where there's risk and where there may be cyber criminals trying to get in? So this shows you when there's dark web exposure, gives you better password policies and procedures, allows you to run phishing campaigns, because now more than ever, these phishing attacks are getting insane with what's happening. So, you're really able to offer something I think that's pretty unique as an MSP, and it's that just that visibility into behavior, and that allows you to make informed decisions about, what kind of training, what kind of further security do you need?
Sorry, I think that is so true too. That part now about the remote worker is so key, right? Because people aren't seeing them. They're not, for a while when we were doing, when we first started doing phishing tests, they, if we weren't careful about how we rolled them out, and we just like let them all go to the same thing at the same time, and like one person would click on it, they would go, look what happened, and then they would say to their friend in the next cube over, and then it was kind of spread through the place.
Like the gopher effect.
Yeah. Right. It's like, all right, well, this is stupid. But the reality of it is, users, well, I hope there are no end users listening, but you're all dumb.
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah, well, especially mom. But like they click all kinds of bad things all the time, and anything that we can do, because now that everybody's remote, they're doing it so much more often, and they're doing it by themselves. And so a lot of times, even when they do recognize it, nobody else sees them going, oh shit, I screwed up, what happened? And then you don't really kind of, they can kind of like hide it and stuff. Like I have a customer a great customer, really smart group of people, and their office manager was emailing her boss, who they were still in their office. This was in January. The boss was literally down the hall, and we all know it wasn't her boss. And she sent $2,500 worth of gift cards, and then she bought another $2,500 to send to the boss. Again, it's just like, wow. What's happening here? Why, people don't connect with the dots.
A lot of it is, look, I mean, a lot of that is common sense. We moved from a competitor fishing to bullfish within ID Agent, because I first off, full transparency, we use ID Agent at virtual computers, and the dark web scanning component I think is amazing. I'll tell a funny story. I was doing a presentation on internet safety for parents at this place. It's like a gymnastics place for kids in my town. Mm-hmm. And I used their domain. I did a live data search, because with ID Agent, even in the minimum program, you get like 100 live data searches a month. Mm-hmm. So I did a live data search of the domain, not knowing that the company is a franchise, but they all work from one email domain. So the place is email address is like mytown@domain.com. And the number of hits, it was 5 pages long. Like, and I showed this to like the guy who owns the one by me, and like 40 entries were just different variations of the boss. And I had every password that boss has ever used ever. Like, it's bad. And I love the software. And from a MSP perspective, your cost is great, because I can easily sell it on my clients. We talk about this a lot. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just going to say my pricing. So we pay $300 a month. Mm-hmm. We get 10 domains to manage automatically for like they're always constantly checking, right?
Yeah.
And then 100 live data searches, and I sell it on my clients at $100 a pop. So as soon as I sell that fourth one, I'm profiting, and I still have 6 more to go. So I can make $700 on a out of 1,000, right? Make $700 profit, and on top of that, because I talk to a lot of people who only do residential who don't understand how to take advantage of this, we charge like $25 a month for the residential ones, and then once a month we just scan their address.
Yep.
So like the potential there is huge.
Right, and then when you start layering,
go.
Sorry, and when you start layering on the phishing campaigns, the security awareness training, I mean, the margins on it are
which there's no extra cost for Bullfish, right? It's like we get it for free.
Correct.
I'm hoping everyone else does, right? It's free. So for $300, you're getting 10 domains, 100 live data searches, and the phishing campaigns, which is great. I will say this, and I've talked to your business partner about this. The phishing campaigns need to be editable. We use another product, and what was nice about using the other product was that for one of my organizations who uses Office 365, we were able to put their logo in it. And then another client of mine who works with a bank, we put a fake version of the bank's logo in it. This is a true story. We put a fake logo of the bank, and the head art director comes over to me and he goes, I was in their office when I sent it. He comes over and he goes, "Is this you? Did you send this?" And I was like, "What makes you think that?" And he's like, "The spacing between these 2 letters is 3 pixels off." I was like, whoa. He's like, "We didn't send this. You sent this." I was like, "Yes, we sent it. Now shut the hell up and like let people figure it out on their own." But yeah,
if you're gonna do it, at least be on brand, right?
Yeah, totally. So I that's the one thing. That's the one thing, and I know why. I got an explanation as to why you're not doing it. But if I got that, then I'd be. But I am 98% happy with ID Agent, the DarkWeb scanning, and the Bullfish. I haven't tried what's the new product?
Passly. So
Passly,
just came.
what is it?
So it's full identity access management. So multi-factor authentication, password manager, vault, whatever you want to call it. And then single sign-on, kind of everything rolled into one platform. So it's really easy from an MSP standpoint to roll out, but then it also gives you all of those solutions in one, where with a lot of the competitors out there, you can get pieces of it, like you can get just a multi-factor or just a password manager. This has got everything all in one, and the margins on that, similar to DarkWeb ID, are really compelling. So if you want to learn more about it, we can get you a demo, get you kind of a trial set up.
Do you guys have an agent that can go on the computer so the user account ties into the single sign-on, or is it single sign-on for like web programs?
So it's web programs, and then I believe there's also Active Directory sync with that as well. And there's a really cool DarkWeb integration. So it'll show you if any of the passwords that are compromised are active somewhere else. So there's some really cool things. Again, it just launched, so still kind of fine-tuning a lot of the features and the details there, but it is definitely a really cool solution that right now I think is really important to make sure that you're rolling out.
Right. And so now you're going to be at our virtual event and hopefully our live event in October if rutabagas stop taking over the world. And so what we want, what's nice about doing this is we're gonna have small businesses who are coming to you to talk about your product, right? I unfairly make it see. My example of this is like when you watch a commercial for a drug that you don't take, so that's why you can go to the doctor and ask for that drug, right?
Yeah.
Where in this case, small businesses are going to come to you. You can talk to small business about DarkWeb, and then they can go back to their IT people being like, we need to be DarkWeb scanning, and these are the people to do it, and then hopefully come back to you with it. But for the IT professionals, I mean, if you're not doing DarkWeb scanning as just including it in your contract, you're doing it almost a disservice to your clients at this point, right? Because I mean, we've had clients where we find a user's password show up, and I know that guy uses that password for everything, and I went to him and I was like, you got to burn this password. And he's like, but I use it everywhere. And I was like, exactly.
It's that behavior. Yeah. So I'll tell you guys a story. At one of the only live events I was at this year before Rutabaga shut everything down. Um, we had a partner in the audience, kind of raise his hand and he was like, "Hey, can I just share a story?" And he was prospecting a local bank. So or it wasn't, it was, I forget exactly what type of business it was, but he was in the like discovery prospecting meeting. And he was like, "I'm going to run a dark web scan on your organization to kind of show you where there's risk, and then we can continue the conversation." So we ran the scan in front of the lady that he was pitching to, and she was just looking through and she's like, "Okay," and then got to one entry and she was like, "Holy shit." She's like, "I gotta go, I'll be right back." So the password that she saw, so then she runs back in and he's like, what he's just like, sitting in the meeting knowing, he's like, "All right, I just sealed the deal on this," right? Like
Right.
that reaction. So she comes back in and she tells him, "This employee no longer works here. She left the company years ago, but I recognized the password." So when they did their like offboarding process, she had just written her passwords down on a post-it note and was like, "Here you go. Here's how you log into the systems that I was using." Turns out that password was still the active account for their bank. So she used the password, logged into the bank account, access to credit lines, millions of dollars that were in like an insane, like just treasure trove for a hacker, right? And she was like, "I would have never known that was, out there." So it's, and again, it doesn't happen like that every single time, but just being able to have that moment where as an MSP, you're coming in with information that no one else is sharing, right? Like you're differentiating yourself, you're providing value. And then what it actually led to, which I think is really cool, because we focus on the cybersecurity technical part, but it also allowed him to partner with their HR department. So to create better onboarding, offboarding procedures, have better policies in place. So now as an MSP, you think about, you want to be sticky in the whole organization. So you don't just want to have your one point of contact that you're working with. He now is known across the whole organization from, executive leadership to HR to tech. So it helps just, really build that MSP's value in the organization.
Tim, do you use ID agent?
I do.
Do you like search your own domain?
You mean like creativetext.com?
Yeah,
I do. Yeah.
I was gonna do a live time search, but I can't because it's apparently a protected domain because you have it in your system.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and that's why that feature exists.
I'll run it on Aces just to see what happens because I'm sure. Oh look, nothing. Nice.
There you go. My back.
I know for a fact Virtual Computers has had hits because I get them all the time. So
well, and realistically, I mean, when you kind of, well, first of all, my personal email address that I don't use is tim@mac.com. So you can imagine how many bajillions of hits, when I run that one through there. And so I like very carefully kind of make sure there's nothing was ever mine because there's just a million things that, other people did with it. But yeah, I mean, anybody who's been on the internet in the last 20 years has a credential that's been exposed.
Yeah.
And people need to realize that. And I talk to customers all the time about like, hey, don't forget that LinkedIn was hacked. Don't forget that Adobe was hacked. I mean, it goes back to like 2012 or whatever when all the Adobe credentials were out there. But you would be amazed how many people still use that, their dog's name or whatever as their password.
Right.
What's that thing that's going around right now?
Oh, that's what I was just getting ready to bring up, Justin. The thing that's like lists
Facebook?
all of these things, like your first car, like what, you're giving away all your security questions.
But there's another one that's going around that says like list your first car, and it says stop, and it's like what was your teacher's name? Giving, and if you read the answers, it says stop giving out your passwords on Facebook. Wait, so I have a couple questions. Okay, so I just reran Virtual Computers through the dark web scan. We're gonna test you. Okay, so date found, understand, email found, password hit. So some passwords come up as a hash, Some passwords come in with a couple characters and stars. Some passwords come in complete. What's the explain to people what the difference is between these three.
Yeah, so the ones that are so when you're running a live data search, it's, presumably your sales tool. So we mask those passwords there. So after the first 4 characters, the password's masked. That's your kind of hook in the sales meeting. When you are monitoring a domain in the platform, you get the full clear text password. So those are not masked at all. The hashes, cyber criminals will kind of hash passwords as they're gathering data sets, and either release the decryption key or decide not to release the decryption key. So it doesn't necessarily mean that those are safer than others. It just means that the cyber criminal is kind of holding on to them. There are a bunch of websites out there, though, like crackstation.net is one of them, where you can plug in that whole encryption and it can potentially be cracked. So we're starting to find that a lot of the LinkedIn ones, a little over 50% of all of the LinkedIn ones are now kind of crackable. So then you see the full clear text password. So, there's a number of different kind of, you're not always going to get email address, full clear text password, because the data is not always complete like that when we find it on the dark web. But,
right.
Still want to, and it can also indicate, so if you've got an email address and a password that you've never used or that user has never used, it could indicate that someone is trying to test passwords against an organization. So that's another way. So like if you've got someone, it's super easy to find everyone's email address now. You can either look on LinkedIn or you can just look on a company's website. And if you start, and especially if it's a distro, so like sales ad, admin app, whatever, and you can just start testing passwords against that. And there's programs out there that cyber criminals can do that super quickly in just massive batches. That all represents a risk. So our goal is not to clean up the data so much that it's just providing you the same thing, but really to share what we're finding, because there's value in knowing what's going on regardless. So that's why, when you're a new partner, we want to go through those first couple calls with you, and we want to kind of coach you on what that conversation looks like so that you can handle all of those questions. We've got, great documents in our marketing platform that's coming customer objections. So it gives you a script basically for all of those questions that you might get in your meeting. So again, there's lots of things that are floating around out there, and we're finding that cyber criminals are just getting smarter and more sophisticated and more dangerous, frankly. So our goal is to, really just provide you all of the information that we can find, and then help you kind of distill that down so that it makes sense for the end user.
So going across more columns, right? Then we have source. So we have ID theft forum. So in my head, I'm thinking that you have like 4 or 5 dudes with hoodies on in the dark room, like sitting on the dark web trying to do Jedi mind tricks, right? Type origin, which I want to come back to in a second, and then PII hit. If you want to explain PII hit to people.
Yep. Yeah. So PII is personal identifying information. So oftentimes they'll grab the email address and the password, but also, billing address, social security number. We've seen, complete billing addresses, social health insurance, like just some crazy personal things. So we're not storing that data, obviously, but we're alerting you when those are exposed. So if you see on your live data search or on your compromise report, that little icon, if you hover over it, you can see the categories that may have been exposed. Sometimes it's nothing, super serious. Sometimes it's be username, but oftentimes we are seeing some of those more, dangerous pieces of data that are.
So there was a leak. I know it's Tim. There was a leak a little while ago. Profile information from People Data Labs and Oxy Data IO. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Nobody knows what that was, number 1. And 2, I got hit on an email address that never existed before. cdcd@virtualconfusion.com. Never existed. So for those who are in IT, a lot of us got that hit. And I mean, it hit everyone in my organization. What was that?
Yeah, so I'll explain what it is, but to kind of preface that, so one of the features that we are working on right now to be released in the platform is kind of a glossary or research guide of those pieces of attribution. So, like, if you and your team saw that and you didn't want to have to call us or talk to someone individually, you could click and then get an explanation of what that breach was, where it came from, et cetera. So that is something that we're working on, that we're really excited about, to be able to provide you that additional insight. That particular one, to my knowledge, it was, so how on a lot of the different like Facebook things that you click on, or different, it'll say, do you want to allow Facebook to access this information? And you say continue. It's related to that type of behavior. So like if I'm filling out one of those stupid quizzes to find out like what color dog I have or whatever it is, and I said, do you want to post to Facebook or whatever, that is an exchange of information. So people are still then grabbing things from Facebook, and that was kind of just a huge like a huge data dump that we found. I don't remember if there were clear text passwords for all of those.
Yeah,
So
I don't think anything came up.
yeah, so it may have just been emails that were grabbed, but again, it's not our job to filter those out. We want to make
Right.
sure you're seeing them. And then when you see an email address, like you mentioned, that never existed, or, no recollection of that, that again could indicate kind of what I was talking about earlier, where someone is testing emails against the network to try and get in. So again, it's probably not, huge red flag to go ahead and shut everything down right now, but maybe block that email address or something.
So then the big question is, what color dog do you have?
I have a no color dog because I have no pets. So
there you go. Well, then your passwords are safe because you would never use that dog's
exactly.
name. I mean, look, to be honest, the stuff that you guys provide, in these searches is amazing. Like the amount of data that can come in. No, see, I didn't do a lot. I went back to my not lifetime search, but my actual domain, because I constantly monitor the virtual one, and there's other information there that I missed. Like the fact that I can go and see that I mean, I know I had a crappy password for many years. I know it's out there on the internet. I know never to use it again, right? And that's one of those things. And so in in the world that we live in now, rutabaga or not, you have to be protective of this stuff. Like back in the day, like Tim, like back in the day, I don't know, after MASH time, there was no, this wasn't a problem, right? What?
Right. No, you're right. So I've got two points on this, and just go to hell first of all. So I have 3 points actually.
Natasha doesn't get it. Natasha, we try to slip in a joke about a show called After MASH every episode because it's a horrible show.
So anyway, so the first thing is, yeah, screw you for dropping an After MASH joke. Second of all, you're right. When you talk about like going back in time or like how far back, so my mom helped my son in 2007 or 2006 try to do a family tree. And when she did that, she sent out like information to all of the family members, got everybody to sign up. And when we first did this, I didn't even remember doing it. Like I didn't remember signing up for this or anything else. But then when we first got our ID agent account, that was one of the hits that came up. And so then I talked to all my family members and I was like, hey, did anybody do this? And we ran through it, and and so I had them give me all their personal emails that they never, and people were like, I don't remember, I don't think so. Every single one. And they all had stupid passwords because in 2007 or 8 or 9, whenever this was, right, like everybody really did use dumb passwords, and they were all the same, and whatever, it was Mulder or Scully, or I guess that X-Files weren't still cool then, but whatever, it was something stupid like that. And so like the whole family had that, and everybody was exposed. everybody, I saw how stupid they were with their passwords, so that was embarrassing for them. But um, but also this was like a login to, I don't know if it was ancestry.com, but one of those types of sites. So really, when you think about it, there's a ton of PII in there that somebody could get to, and anyway, it's a terrible, it's bad, and so people have to be careful, and we have to remember that, what was okay, and we have to, as IT professionals, we know that like the stuff we were doing in 2007 or 2008 or 1999 isn't how you can behave in 2017 or 2019 or 2020. And but just because we know that, I think we assume everybody knows that, and nobody knows that, and we have to just kind of like beat people over the head with that. The other thing is that this is an incredible engagement tool for your customers, and it drives one of the things that one of the things I really appreciate about it is I can drive some random engagement, right? Because at all levels of the company, I can reach out to somebody who's been exposed in this thing, and send them a private note and say, hey, by the way, did you know this is what I see? And it just helps. It helps keep you closer, or weaves that little cloth. And we talk a lot about, I don't know, at some point we've chatted before about how important every person is in the company, not just like your main champion, because as I work with a group that's 15 or 20 people, I can't tell you how many other customers over the last dozen years that I've gotten because somebody left company A, went to company B, and they didn't have any Mac support, and so from that we get a whole new little group. So that that extra thing that can get us in touch with people on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis or whatever it is, and I like that it's just another touch point, right. And the expense isn't that great, the effort isn't I set it up in an afternoon for 6 or 8 customers, and then
I think this is also something we started talking about this before we were recording, about the quarterly business reviews that we a lot of us talk about. Like, this should be an item in your QBR. Are we dark web scanning your company? If the answer is no, the answer needs to be yes. And I think the other thing though is that people need to realize that this isn't a like, I know the new tool is, but this isn't really a password protection thing, right? Because a lot of times we tell people, we've taught people what kind of passwords work better, not a random letter of characters, do multiple words and whatever. This isn't about this. This is because even if you had the world's best password, but you happen to have been on Last FM, got breached, guess what? That's out there now, right? That's out there, and someone has, and you need to be able to, do what needs to be done.
Right, and I mean, and that's part of the messaging too. Is it isn't, let's make sure that your password is never exposed, because you have to go in under the assumption that you've already been exposed, right? So like, it's not a matter of if, but when. So this acts as kind of that perfect ground floor of your security stack. So it's that visibility piece, so you can show people, look, you've already, like, the doors are already open. So it's, it's just a matter of what can we layer in
for a second there. I thought you were talking about rutabaga, because you were like, you're already exposed. This is just going to tell you if you are. We're like, we have better rutabaga testing. What's going on here? But that's literally what it is, right? Like, if look, I'm a psychopath, we get this, but like, if this could be like the rutabaga testing of the internet, right? Of your security. This should be your new marketing, by the way.
Well, we do have marketing now that is, so like the CDC recommends 20 seconds to wash your hands, or however long it is. We have email hygiene, so it's like 20 seconds to like read through a phishing email or something, and like ways to detect. So
that's cute. I like that. You guys have a lot of the other thing I like about your company is that you provide a lot of content for MSPs to help MSPs. You're one of the few companies that do this. You provide I think I signed up one time for like 30 days of social media posts, and I grabbed them and we just added them into the Virtua 365 days of tips. Hashtag Virtua 365 days of tips. And so like, and it's like easy things to post, and you work with MSPs to get their brand on your content to teach people about dark web scanning. I think that's an amazing part, and that's all free. That's all stuff that you guys do for free. Like the value that you get out of ID Agent, if you use it correctly and take advantage of it. Don't take advantage of Nat. Talking to you, Tommy. I'm talking to you, Tommy Lee. But he's not listening. Don't worry, Tim. But if you take advantage of like what?
Wait, was it Tommy Lee? It was or Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh, Tommy Lee Jones. I was calling him by his first name.
Yeah, they're on a first name basis.
Yeah, I mean Tommy Lee probably would have done the same.
Yeah, that's a whole different guy. Definitely worse.
Whatever the case may be, take advantage of ID Agent and use the stuff that they're providing, because the tools that they're giving are amazing. Not just for the scanning and the email phishing, which, by the way, like we use a competitor for email phishing, and while we've talked about this before, you guys are growing that email phishing at a very fast rate, But the fact is, I'm not paying $2,000 a year for the other email phishing tool. I will take your tool, which does 95% of the other tool, right, and not pay an extra dime. So for $300 a month, you're getting dark web scanning, you're getting email phishing, you're getting media for your own sales techniques. You have a tool that you can use to help close techniques. I'm assuming Passly is cost. It's an additional cost. Yeah. But that seems pretty awesome. Like the value is just there inside of ID Agent.
Yeah, and I'll just talk briefly about powered services, so the marketing and sales collateral. So it's a platform that, this team is just kicking ass. So basically it's taking all of the collateral you need. You can brand it right in the platform. So you just upload your logo, press a button, and it's not even just necessarily, dark web scanning and selling it, but it's education, because we all know that, the best way to sell something is to educate your customer. And so we're providing all of that. We've got a team that is doing what we call goal assists, which basically, like, let's say you wanted to host a webinar for your customers or for your prospects. I could come on and co-host it with you, provide the content, do everything. So it's really, helping the MSPs sell and have success with this. We don't just want it to be another solution that you bought at a trade show and it sits on the shelf for a year before you get around to doing something with it. We really want to make it easy for you, and the team is just churning out amazing resources, every week. And we've actually got, even if you're not an ID Agent partner, we do have rutabaga resources specifically available to everyone. So, different trainings, different, obviously we all have to adjust our marketing message now. Right? Like we can't go at it the same way that we would have. So, giving you tips and different strategies that you can use from a marketing standpoint to still, selling doesn't have to stop right now, but you just have to pivot a little bit. You just have to change your messaging. So we're really helping MSPs kind of navigate that process of figuring out, how can I still effectively sell my solutions and bring in new customers while remaining sensitive and empathetic and, doing what's right by the MSPs. So those resources, if you go to poweredservices.kaseya.com, you can, check that out. You can reach out to me directly and I can hook you up with that. But, really just wanting to help, right now and making sure that MSPs kind of are able to navigate this and that they can still, it's not just, it's not just surviving, but thriving.
Right.
That's a perfect segue into ACES Conference 2020, the prequel, where we're helping small businesses survive and thrive in a post-rutabaga world. I don't even think you did that on purpose, but if you did,
I didn't do that on purpose.
I was gonna give you mad props for that. No. Actually, I was gonna say mad kudos, and then I said mad props, and for a second, I started to say mad crops. You get mad crops for doing our segue. For those who are not paying attention,
mad props.
hashtag Hashtag Mad Crops. It's late.
And now we have an episode name.
And now we have an episode name.
Hashtag Mad Crops. What do you mean it's late? It's 3:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah, but you saw me spill an entire bottle of water, and then a lot.
Things are getting unhinged.
Things happen, especially with 2 kids, and that means school's over soon, which means I go into daddy mode, which is never. I don't know. I don't find it fun. Sorry, kids. If you ever hear this in the future, your dad doesn't like you.
Oh, that's true. I can vouch for that. You should see what he sends me in Slack. Kids, don't worry. Roman, I'm saving it for when you grow older. I'll give you the...
At his bar mitzvah.
I'll print him out. You can give him to a therapist.
At Roman's bar mitzvah, we'll give him something.
Yeah, it's going to be the roast by dad at the bar mitzvah.
I love my kids. I just don't like my kids. There's a difference.
Alrighty.
More anecdotes like this at ACES Conference 2020, the prequel, happening May 19th and 20th. Go to acesconf.com. Click register for May. All the details will be there. Natasha will be there. We'll be doing a 10-minute session with her and maybe Matt about ID Agent and its tools. And one of the nice features that we have for the system is that you'll actually be able to start. It will be Zoom through a web, but what'll be something that'll be really cool for all the sponsors is you as an attendee want to learn more about the sponsors. You can go to the sponsor page. You can read their content. You can read their white papers. You can watch their videos. That's all well and good. But we're gonna have a button where you can click and it will start a one-on-one Zoom call with the sponsor, so you can actually talk to them right then and there to find out more about their product. So if you're interested,
I really hope Tommy Lee Jones is not invited to this.
I was just going to send him an invite.
Oh my God, we should send him an invite. Be like, we know somebody who knows you. If anybody knows Tommy Lee Jones, tell them to sign up at acesconf.com and then click register for May. My thanks to Natasha Boyko from ID Agent for being here. Thank you so much. Eternal gratitude.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any last words you want to say, Natasha?
I think that attend this conference for sure. I mean, as I mentioned, obviously last year was different, and I'm not just doing this as a shameless plug to, brown nose here, but it really was just such an incredible, valuable show for us. And it's, as a vendor, a lot of trade shows are very similar, right? Like you get, it's the same. But this one was particularly valuable, just learning from this group and, the small group sessions, the brainstorm sessions that you did and allowing us to participate in that, I still think about it. It was incredible. And it's really just, again, I think that we're all in a different headspace right now. So I think everyone's going to be very open to being creative and just hearing and learning from each other. And we're excited to be there and share, I think, some unique ways that you can go about your marketing and your sales right now. So definitely attend. I look forward to seeing everyone virtually and hopefully in person. Knock on wood. But yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on today. It was fun.
Well, that's what we're all about here at the podcast. Fun. Hang on one quick second here. Tim, there we go. You have anything you wanna say before we go?
No, I mean, really, I said no, and then I'll just start talking. But Ash is right. Some of the stuff that's going to happen virtual conference are going to be really great. And for our IT friends who are out there, register for the IT track of the event. So not only do you have that part, the one-on-one, but we've got so many great speakers from the IT world. There's going to be a lot of really fun stuff in there, and we're going to have those roundtable discussions. So people can get in, sit down, talk, sit down virtually. I mean, you're probably going to sit the whole time, right?
Unless you're standing.
Yeah, but okay, fair enough. But have a little roundtable discussion with your peers and work out some issues. I think that's going to be really valuable too. So
yeah, the platform we're building out right now is going to be amazing because you'll have access to so much content in such a little time. And we understand that like when it's so much content, it might be overwhelming. But what's nice about this is that it's going to be for both IT and non-IT people. And you as an IT person have to remember, like, you run a business. So you need to learn some of these business things, especially in this post-Rutabaga world. And that's what it's about. Plus, we're going to do the roundtables. Plus, we're going to have the sponsors like ID Agent. We're going to have some extra... We'll have some other fun stuff. We're going to be doing some giveaways. We're going to be donating money to Stupid Cancer. That's our charity.
Yep.
We're working that out.
Excited about that.
That's going to be fun. And so the whole thing, it's going to be a fun 2 days of just good old me dropping water on my desk and Tim making fun of me.
So join us.
May 19th and 20th. acesconf.com. Click register for May, or you can just go to acesconf.com/the prequel. It'll bring you there. Register. Honestly, register.
Smash the like button. Share it with your friends. Remember, your customers that are business owners are going to get a lot of value from this too. Have them sign up. Get them in there. Let's raise money for Stupid Cancer. Let's do it.
And smash the like button. Hashtag.
Smash the share button.
Hashtag. I'm gonna give you crops. Mad crops. Hashtag mad crops.
Mad crops.
All right, that's it. Thanks everyone. Bye.